Hi Pianists, I hope you enjoyed hearing Topsy-Turvy by E.L. Lancaster. You can learn this out of Alfred's Group Piano for Adults, Book 1, pages 100 to 101. It's a modern piece, it's really fun to play. It's again one of those pieces that sounds harder to play than it actually is. It's full of patterns. It's a great piece to practice your hand over hand technique, which we've talked about in hand over hand arpeggios. It's a great piece for thinking and feeling in 5-finger scale positions. So I'll talk you through the ways to learn this, that way you can play it like I just did. We're going to start with our top pyramid level of style and mood. So this would come from the title and also those markings of vivo, giocoso. Topsy-Turvy is kind of an unusual title, but it means a feeling of chaos, kind of disorder, and things feeling upside down. You don't want to feel chaotic when you play it, but it kind of has that feeling, which I think comes from the upside down nature of the left hand crossing over the right hand. Also, let's look at the Italian words of vivo. Vivo means lively, joyful, playful, which this piece definitely sounds like. And I love the word giocoso, it means joyful. So it kind of has this carnival type of feel to it. Next, we'll move into the rhythm category. So we're going to start always with our time signature. We're in 4/4, we're not cut time. So yes, it's lively, but avoid the feeling of going too fast. It should feel like it's still playful, like you're at a fair or carnival. If we look at our rhythms, it's really repetitive, even more than a toccatina I've talked about before. I'm going to suggest that you even just tap this out with me just to get used to the way that hand would cross over. Before we even count, we're actually just going to say which hand is going to tap. So try it with me. Ready? Go. Left, left, right, right, left, over, right, right, left, 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 right, right, left, rest, right, rest. So as you watched me, notice that I'm having to move my left hand over and back down while my right hand is playing. So try that again. Make sure that you're moving early enough to keep it steady. We're going to count it this time. Ready? Go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Once you get that, that's pretty much the rhythm all the way through. A couple exceptions to that would be measures 15 and 16, and then again on the last line when I have some rests in there. So measure 15 just goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So get it comfortable tapping before you try to do that tapping and playing at the same time. I would suggest a performance goal of about a half note at 132 or even faster, but again, not too quick. Next, let's move up into note reading and fingering category. I always check with any kind of clefs that look unusual. We're used to a grand staff, a treble, and bass clef. Grab out your pencils and circle at measure 29. Notice that where the bass clef should be, there's a treble clef. So that is actually at measure 29 in the left hand, the B a second below middle C. That is not a low D. It does not sound good. Keep it on a B there. So everything's just going to keep moving up on that page. Next, we'll look into landmark notes for our left hand. So I look at my left hand. I notice there's a landmark F between those two dots, down a second. I'm on an E number 3, and then I go up a 5th. The left hand plays 5th the entire time through. The right hand starts on middle C with my thumb, and then I play a skip above that with an E and a G. So notice your hands are a step apart. This is the pattern the entire piece through. So your right hand's going to stay very stable in its hand positions, and the left hand's going to come back down, where you can get used to that. It's going to feel that we won't even have to watch it in time. Let me explain my chord symbols next. So you'll notice that I've given you 2 sets of chord symbols. If you've studied 7th chords before, look at the ones I have in parentheses. If you consider all the notes of the first measure, this is actually a C, major 7 over an E. It gives it that modern jazzy sound to it. But if you haven't done 7th chords, look at the symbols to the left, not in parentheses, which I've labeled just what the right hand triads are sitting in. So you can think left hand 5th, right hand's on C major, which is helpful because then it crosses over to C, the root of the chord I've labeled. Measure 5 goes up a step into a D minor position with the left hand on a 5th on F. Let me explain a little bit of this reduction practice before I go too much further. So I'm blocking my left hand fifth. Together I'm thinking that is one thought. Don't think two thoughts, think it is one thought. A fifth. Right hand I'm blocking the three notes together, C, E, G, as a triad. This will be great for crossing over. So I'm going to think left hand fifth, right hand triad, left hand go over, a fourth above where that right hand's sitting at, triad back down right next to it, fifth, C triad, and then just the third goes up a step, fifth, D minor triad up to D, D minor triad, fifth, D minor triad, D, top part of that chord up or goes down a second. Now I'm going to move a little more quickly here, measure 11, I keep going down, goes down to bass C, and then it goes back up to a B, diminished quality, 3 half steps in all of those thirds, starts itself back over, 17, left hand, C, major, major 21, back up to D minor, keep going up again to B, and then I finish on C. So spend some time getting those reduced patterns, the fifth and the triads in the right hand comfortable. I would encourage you, probably if you're a beginning pianist, to watch early for those crossovers and then get it back down to that thumb. Just spend some time getting that accurate and in time before we go up to our next category. All right, let's get into more of the style with the articulations part of our musical learning pyramid. I'm going to play it first way poorly. I'm going to ignore all of the staccatos and the accents that I have so you can hear how much it changes the style to encourage you to add in correct articulations. Here's the poor demo. Does not feel topsy-turvy at all. Sounds more of a gentle type of walk in the forest, perhaps. So let's go back in and look at our two types of articulations. They're staccatos, should sound playful, short lifts. Notice I don't come up far above the key because it's a quick piece, but I just release and come back down. Think very short, keys are hot. Move early during those rest. Like hopping. Okay, let's move on to measure 15. I have staccato and accents like the toccatina. That'd be a quicker arm weight down, but I release quick. Might want to just circle all of the staccatos and accents combinations. So that's the main type of articulation to make it sound playful. All right, let's move on up into our dynamics category. I'm going to demonstrate one more time poorly for you of measures 1 through 16. I'm going to ignore any kind of dynamic contrast or shaping, then we'll go back in and add them. I'm going to repeat that with a good demonstration where you'll hopefully hear phrase goals, some phrase variety, and I'll bring out those accents this time. All right, let's go back in and help you add those dynamics. So this is a rising and falling type of piece, so that brings out natural phrase goals. Remember, the arrows in our scores mean that's the richest point of the phrase. So as the music rises higher, that'll be the louder point, and then as it falls back down, it gets softer. That's the idea all the way through this piece. That can get a little repetitive, so we want to go into phrase variety. So I've suggested by adding in some extra dynamics at measure 4, we're going to repeat that phrase a little softer. So I'm going to play through it and talk you through the phrase variety ideas. First one's mezzo forte, little echo, back to mezzo forte, then more forte, start forte, decrease, less, surprise us. And then here at 17, this is a sequence. We're going to start the lowest point at E and rise higher. So at measure 17 is your softest point. Each subsequent phrase gets louder after that. Mezzo piano, mezzo forte, 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 fortissimo. We also discussed the voicing, which is one of our categories of the dynamics. This is not really the melody accompaniment piece. The melody is shared between the hands, so that's why it works just to play the hands growing in volume and decreasing as well. All right, so we've walked through those stages of our musical learning pyramid. We paid attention to the rhythm by tapping it, making sure that you don't ignore the rest, those are still part of the playful nature of this piece. A very important part of this is reducing down your patterns. It's one of those pieces that kind of looks and sounds harder to play than it really is, so don't shy away from playing this piece because of the sound of it. But if you use those fifths and the triads, that will help you think and look ahead to those hand crossovers. Will also help you focus on listening to sharp articulations, short staccatos, surprises with accents, and then also add in those phrase goals, rise higher. You could follow that phrase variety that I've suggested for you as well. So have a great time playing this Topsy-Turvy piece.